So today I'm going to talk about a quote that I heard in the week. And the quote goes something like this: It's not the water outside of the boat, it's the water that's inside the boat that sinks you. What an amazing quote. It's not the water outside the boat, it's the water inside the boat that sinks you. And that made me really take a step back to think about the things that are inside me that sink me or get me down a bit or give me that sinking feeling. And how could I, more importantly, twist that around or think about how I could improve things rather than sinking? So I'm floating along. So I'm floating along on the crest of the wave. I nearly went into song there. Or row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. So, how could I plug those holes in my boat to stop me sinking, to stop the water from outside coming in, and make sure that there's no water inside my boat? So I thought about the 5 fundamentals which I talk about: mind, body, spirit, emotions, and relationships. There's lots of other people that mention those things, but I have my twist on it. Some people have 4 of them, some people have 2 of them, some people have just mind, body, and spirit. I like to invest time in my mind, my body, my spirit, my emotions, and my relationships. So how could I think about plugging those holes in those areas? And as I said, twisting and flipping that around so I am keeping the water out. Well, the first one, mind. So sometimes when I talk about mind, I think about learning, and I think about learning new information. And our brains are amazing. They are like so they absorb information. They don't stop absorbing information. People have these comments, these negative comments about when you get older you can't do this. Well, I think if you don't use it, you lose it. So why not invest time in your mind? And that sinking feeling for me is when I'm not learning, when I'm not challenged, when I'm not doing new things and starting new things and finishing off new things. My mind, I like to think it needs to be excited and motivated. And we have a thing called neuroplasticity. You might have heard of that phrase. And neuroplasticity is all about your brain taking on new ideas and new thinking. So rather than sinking in that feeling, I like to challenge myself with my mind. I like to learn new things. So at the minute, I'm doing lots of stuff about book writing at the moment, but I'm also having a look at something called Skillshare, which is an online community. And I don't get sponsored by that. I'm not advertising it. It's just one of many. Team 17, if you know about Team 17, has an amazing resource library of speakers, meetings, sessions that the people in the group and outside the group have led. And that really does expand your mind, and that plugs in that gap for me of not feeling sinking and not feeling stuck in the mind. So question to you people out there watching this: what could you do to stretch your mind, to keep your mind afloat, to keep that positive thinking going? Number 2, the body. Well, that could be quite obvious. I know, and we all know, don't we? If we eat the wrong food, we don't exercise, we don't get enough sleep, we don't hydrate. Cheers. Water, by the way. If we don't do those things, we do start, don't we, to get that sinking feeling. On Christmas Day or celebration days, you have that big meal full of carbs, full of meat, full of trifle, full of mince pies, full of the odd glug, glug, glug drink every now and again, but you do really feel sluggish, don't you? You sink into that settee or that couch after that chair after you've had that meal. We know that happens, don't we? And that's okay every now and again. But what could you do not to have that sinking feeling all the time with your body? And I mentioned some of the things there, didn't I? Eating right. Come on, we all know what to do with eating right. Exercising, it doesn't have to be marathons. It can be getting up for a walk, go to the gym, take the dog out for a walk, go out with the kids, go out with the family this week just for a walk. Get some fresh air. What about that sleep? Well, I try and sleep 8 hours a day, 8 hours, 8 hours a day or at night. That works for me, and I understand my own circadian rhythms. Look that up, go on the internet and do a little Google for that if you want to find out about that. But I know if I don't get sleep, I get into what we call sleep deficit. And that means if I stay up late and get up early and I'm taking that sleep out of my bank account, that investment, is I do get sluggish and that sinking feeling. So I know even now I sort of don't sleep in anymore because I am in that routine, and it takes a while. And what about your sleep routine, folks? Do you have a sleep routine that keeps you going and you don't have that sluggish feeling? Are you hydrating? I have to say, my habit of drinking at least these type of glasses, at least 5 or 6 of these a day. I'll probably get through a whole glass just doing this. That for me just keeps me hydrated throughout the day. It makes my brain work better. I don't feel so sluggish. My skin's better. My digestion's better. And also sort of, when people say about not feeling well, I think drinking water and hydrating and keeping your body flushed, that helps with your natural well-being. So talking about water on boats, keep the good water in you, I suppose, by drinking good water. Yeah, but don't let the water get in your boat and sink you down. So yeah, it's about health, isn't it? This is about health, our body. And then we all know about sleep and water and good food and exercise and that type of thing. So again, question for you. What's sinking your boat? What's making you feel you're sinking? What's that sinking feeling that's giving you? Is it something in your health? Can you block those little holes in your boat of life and keep that unhealthy water out and you healthy in your boat? Spirit. Spirit for me is all about being uplifted. It's about being positive. It's about being around positive people. It's about stopping anything negative that's coming to me. And I suppose if we use our boat analogy now, what could I plug in with my spirit? What, the things that get you down, the things that sort of you subliminally get to you. One of the things for me is the news. I don't watch the news. I probably catch up with the news once a week, and that's very brief. And I know there's important things happening in the world, and I do know about those, but the silly stuff I just can't be bothered with. I just can't. So I actually don't have the news channel on when I'm driving. I don't have it on at home. Can't think of the last time I actually watched the news. I don't get a newspaper. Newspapers are sold on misery. They're sold on upset. They're not sold on what's positive in the world. And what I do is I plug those gaps with positive stuff. So things like this. Being, doing these lives, meeting people, reading positive books, listening to great stuff. So instead of in the car, not having, because I do a lot of driving, listen to positive messages, positive podcasts, books, etc., rather than, the news, etc. Now, some people say to me, Steve, yeah, but you always listen to audio books that are non-fiction. No, I don't. I listen to fiction books as well on audio, and there's loads of them. And there's loads of the classics actually free, and they can be just as uplifting. And so can films. Watching an uplifting film, watching a musical, watching something to uplift you, that keeps your spirit going. Number 4 is emotions. Now, emotions are connected with spirit, I suppose, for me. But do you cultivate positive emotions? So if you imagine that water coming into your boat being negative emotions, how are you, getting them over the border, getting them over the side of the boat? How are you using your bucket to throw those negative emotions out? And do you recognize when you are dipping into those negative emotions? So an exercise I love to do is to write down sort of the emotions that I'm feeling in the day. And I call it the emotion check, okay? And all you can do is you can set your phone that says, Steve, pops up on to Steve, what's your emotion now? Or what are you feeling now? And that's the way to get an emotion. How are you feeling now? And it's great also to build up positive emotions if you remind yourself of your positive emotions and you capture them. You take a mind memory picture, or you do something with your physical body to go like that, and it's called an anchor. People call that an anchor. You click your fingers. What am I feeling now? Am I feeling good now? If I'm feeling good now, yeah, keep clicking my fingers. That makes me feel good, and that's one of my triggers. If I want to feel good and I want to feel energetic and ready to talk, you can see my shoulders going, you can see me clicking, and I'm bouncing. I'm loving this new seat I've got, by the way. Bouncing and getting those emotions up. Come on. All I need to do is that, and that's it there. Some people clap, some people do that, some people high five the screen or their mirror in the morning. But all that's doing is building up those positive emotions. Those positive emotions, how are you building those up inside you and keeping them going throughout the day and anchoring and triggering them? And what are the negative emotions? What about negativity? What about sort of you when you feel you feel a bit down, or you feel a bit deflated, or you feel a bit not with it, or you use those like type of words that I've just used. In Michael Hebel's great book, Flip It, it's all about that. It's all about flipping how you feel and how you see life, and how you take on board challenges rather than problems. And you may hear people talk about challenges rather than problems, and then you flip it. So rather than having a problem in life, you have a challenge in life. Because what's great about challenges is you can overcome challenges, can't you? You can overcome challenges, and you can do that in many ways, with people's help, with help from the internet, with a coach, or it can be anyone, or anyone it can help you with a challenge. And that idea of brick walls. How do you get past a brick wall? Well, there's many ways of getting past a brick wall. Many ways. You can climb over it, you can go around it, you can go under it. So there's 4 ways. If you think left, right, up, down, yeah. Or you could do something that knocks the wall down, breaks the wall down. How could you break that wall down? What are those barriers that you could sort of break down? We've all heard about Roger Bannister having me, and he ran the 4-minute mile, and it was a barrier. It was like but he had in his head that he was going to break in. And he could see 3:59 or whatever seconds, minutes in his head, and he broke that barrier. Nobody ever thought that a human being could run that fast. There were stories about your head would explode, or your legs would fall off, or whatever. And then what was funny is Roger Bannister broke that. It took months and months to break it, and then after that point, a number of other people broke it and beat Roger Bannister's time. So, it's all about that, thinking about barriers. How can you use your emotions and block those negative emotions and flip them round? Yes, we've got challenges. Yes, you may be feeling unwell, but you could be feeling better, couldn't you? You could be feeling better. You could have challenges. You could see obstacles as new ways and new learnings. So if you've had I stopped myself. Did you see me? I stopped. I went, and that problem word nearly came out. No. If you've had something that's in the past, a challenge, why don't you do this? Get a bit of paper, write the top what the challenge was, and then write at least 5 things you've learned about yourself, you've learned about your environment, you've learned about others in that challenging time. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. Those bumps along the road have all got learnings in them. And my last thing I want to talk about is about that analogy of it's not the water outside the boat, it's the water inside the boat that sinks it. Who do you have around you, your relationships? Do you have positive, encouraging, empowering people around you? They're the people that are going to stop those negative waters, those negative Nellies, those energy vampires, or what you would call them, getting into your boat and giving you that sinking feeling. So you know what? This is not easy, but sometimes you might have to say a fond farewell to people. Might be colleagues in work or past relationships, people in your Facebook. If you go on your Facebook group and you look at all your friends, how many friends have you got on your Facebook group that are not really your friends? They may have been an associate in your life. I'm 53, nearly 50. No, I'm 52. I'm nearly 53 in March. How many people from my Facebook group, my personal Facebook group, are people that I've collected along the way just because they went to the same school or worked in the same area? I've had many jobs since then. I've worked in many educational establishments. I've seen many people. I've been many places. you know, how many of those people really need to know what I'm having for my tea on a Thursday? And that's why I sort of step a little bit back from Facebook, because it's full of. I joined a group the other day actually because I'm moving to a new area, and there's a Facebook group of the people that are moving in that area, and I joined it for about 10 seconds. I joined it and then saw what people were writing, and it was all negative Nellies. It was moaning, it was being nasty, it was not taking control of things. So within 10 seconds, I'd left that group. In and out, bye-bye, see ya. So I didn't want those people to sink my boat. So today, in this session, we've talked about that sinking feeling and that feeling of floating along in life. And a quote that inspired me was, it's not the water outside of the boat, it's the water inside of the boat that sinks it. So you think about that with your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions, and your relationships. How can you stop yourself getting that sinking feeling? What can you do to keep those negative waters out and the positive things in your boat there? And how could you cultivate them? How could you, come on, click your fingers and you can get motivated? How could you drink more water to keep yourself hydrated? What new things could you learn? What emotions are you going to cultivate? And lastly, who are you going to have around you in your relationships to build on that relationship with yourself and that positiveness about yourself? Well, I hope you enjoyed that session. If you've got any questions or you've got anything you want to say, pop it down in the chat below and I will reply. If you like what you see, but do a comment. It's always lovely when people comment. If you're watching at other times, just say you've watched and just say what you enjoyed and what you learned. And don't forget to put your own comments in there, because it's always good having people's comments.